Hey guys, what's going on? It's Space Cowboy here, and today we're finally recapping the 2021 NFL Draft for the Dallas Cowboys. How did I feel that they did, along with a couple other bits and pieces of information about how they handled the draft and all that other stuff. So not only are we going to be covering day 3, I know I did 2 videos of instant reactions for days 1 and 2, but I wanted to do a full review of how the Cowboys did and just give an initial grade for how they managed this draft. So before we begin, if you guys could, by all means, leave a like on this video, along with subscribing if you're new, so that you don't miss out on new content when it drops. So let's go ahead and go in order from day 1 to day 3, each round, and talk about how I felt about each pick after a couple days of thinking about it and doing a bit of research. So to start things off, you had day 1. The Cowboys sitting at pick 10. We were all thinking that they were most likely going to get a corner, either J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain II if they're there. And then if there was an instance in which both of them weren't there, they might end up trading back, or they might trade back if the package is right. So the Cowboys, they get to pick 10. J.C. Horn is off the board at 8. Patrick Surtain is off the board at 9. And here we are at pick 10, and the Cowboys are like, well, what do we do? And we noticed how they traded down with Philadelphia. They get an extra third-round pick, and a lot of us were thinking maybe you should have gotten more out of that. And I do agree. I think you could have definitely fleeced them a bit more, given the fact that, hey, it's a top 10 pick. You know the Giants are going to take Devontae Smith. So if you want him, you're going to need to give me maybe a pick or two more. But getting an extra third-round pick to move down 2 spots isn't bad at all. So the Eagles end up taking Devontae Smith. As expected, he was either going to go to Philadelphia or to New York. New York ends up trading out of that selection, and so Dallas ends up at pick 12, and they take arguably the best defensive player on the board in Micah Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State. Now, I should put a bit of a disclaimer on this analysis because it might be a bit biased, considering the fact that I have watched Micah Parsons play with his career with the Nittany Lions because I'm a Penn State fan. However, I do think that the Cowboys made the right selection here. Sure, Rashawn Slater is on the board, and I don't blame them if they had taken him, but considering what Micah Parsons does for your defense, it allows you to play harder and faster, and I think that that's the direction the Cowboys want to go in. The way I look at Micah Parsons is, yes, does he need to work on his coverage skills? Absolutely. However, he does have the athletic ability to get him to that point. I have felt that he could be the next Bobby Wagner or someone better than him if he reaches his full potential. Now, again, potential is a completely different circumstance. As of right now, he's coming in there and he's arguably your best linebacker, and that's not saying much. But I think that this pick set the tone for the rest of the draft. But if you were to give me a grade on what the Cowboys did on day 1, I'd give it a solid A. You trade back, get an extra third. Sure, could you have gotten a bit more in return? Absolutely. But to move down and still get the best defensive player on the board, that's pretty good. So I do think Micah Parsons will do fine in Dallas. I wouldn't be shocked if he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. And considering the fact that they coined Penn State as linebacker U, I am not going to be shocked if Micah Parsons ends up being a fantastic player for the Cowboys for years to come. But that is remained to be seen. So we move into day 2. We start in round 2. Dallas had one selection at pick 44. They took Kelvin Joseph, cornerback out of Kentucky. He was an underrated prospect compared to, the other cornerbacks that were getting a lot of the airtime in terms of who was talking about who. And you can't go wrong with this pick because, look, Dallas needed defensive back help. Kelvin Joseph gets you that. He is one of those day 1 starters that can come in and be relatively productive. Is he going to be shut down unit? No, I don't think he's going to come in and be that level. Absolutely not. But I think he gives you the same production that Trevon Diggs did in his first year, and you can't go wrong with that. So you get a guy that has character concerns, which is like, him switching colleges and, that whole situation, and like, oh, the rapper thing, which honestly is not that big of a deal. But I think that this was a very fine selection by the Cowboys, looking at the value and who was on the board. You can't go wrong here. So Kelvin Joseph, for me, that pick is an A. I think that's based off of the value and who was there on the board compared to other prospects. Sure, you could have double dipped at linebacker, possibly, but I think that you needed a corner here. And either way, Dallas was getting a corner in their first 2 picks, so you get a good selection here. So far the draft was going well, and then at this point you can see what Dan Quinn is trying to do. And then we get into the 3rd round, and this is where things kind of go topsy-turvy for me. But I'm not throwing my chair across the room mad. So you take Osa Odigizua, I think that's how you pronounce it, the defensive tackle out of UCLA. You get another 3-tech to develop. Do I have a problem with that? No. I think that you can't go wrong with getting more defensive linemen, and if you know Dan Quinn, you will know that this is something he likes to do, is continuously get these types of bodies onto his defense. And I think that is he going to be a he's the savior that we've been looking for? No, he's not, but he gives you another good body in the rotation. Based off of what he did at UCLA and based off of where you got, I don't mind the pick. I think that was a solid selection. I would give it a B. Then you go to Chauncey Golston, the defensive end out of Iowa, and this is a puzzling thing because I don't know exactly where they had him on their board, that being the Cowboys. Me personally, I think that you maybe could have gotten him later based off of how things were shaping up. But I mean, to be honest, it's another guy that's coming in here to be, another edge rotational player, hopefully starter, if, things go well. I think that he's the Tyrone Crawford replacement, and, hopefully he turns into something. I want every single one of these guys we drafted to become something. Are they all going to do that? No, but another good guy on that defensive, I'd probably give it, I'd give it a C+, B- type of thing based off of value. I could be wrong, but based off of what I was doing in terms of research and how people were grading him, I think that you maybe could have gotten him a bit later, or you had other people you could have gotten. Then pick 99 comes around, and the Cowboys do one of the more puzzling selections out of this entire draft class, and they took Nashan Wright, the cornerback out of Oregon State. Now, I'm still perplexed by the move, okay? And am I upset that the Cowboys took him? No. I think that value-wise, and this is going to impact my grade, you could have gotten him much later, okay? You could have gotten this guy in the 4th round. You definitely could have gotten this guy in the 5th round. But then again, I don't know how other teams are looking at this guy. He has the measurables, and again, it's off of potential. All these guys in that first 3 rounds are based off of potential. Can they produce? And what is their ceiling? And I love that Dallas is going for that. I'm sick and tired of the whole, the right kind of guys, the Garrett guys, all that other stuff. That's gone, especially after this draft. And, and I'll allude more to that later. But Nashan Wright, again, is a puzzling selection, mainly due to value, but, no one was not that that's a bad thing, okay? I'm not trying to say, because he wasn't talked about, that means he's going to suck. No, I don't think he's going to be terrible. But the fact is when you place that 3rd round selection, standard on him, you're expecting this guy to be a borderline starter on your team. That's why when you pick people in the top 100, these are guys that are going to be starting at some point. So you need to make this work out. I have a feeling, personally, with the Kelvin Joseph and Nashan Wright selections, that one is the Chidobe Awuzie replacement, and the other is going to be the eventual cutting of Anthony Brown. I think that he's going to be cut. That's my hot take, is that, or if it's even a hot take, that Anthony Brown's going to be cut before the season begins. So that's just being honest. But no, I would give the Nashan Wright pick a C to C plus. I think that you definitely could have gotten him a bit later. Just a bit puzzling in that selection. But I'm not upset with it. I think that he's got the right measurables to be. I mean, he's basically one of those Dan Quinn types of corners that he wants. Just plain and simple. Now, the fourth round, the Cowboys were redeeming themselves to start off with Jabriel Cox, the linebacker at LSU. Now, when I went to work and I was kind of like getting the notifications as we were selecting players, I thought, I wasn't even paying attention to some of these other teams selecting. I thought Jabriel Cox was already taken by a team. When, so you look at the value here, he's definitely a possible starter. Is he going to be like Pro Bowl? No, I think that you get a guy that can be a valuable asset in your linebacking room, especially if you're looking to kick one of these either both or one of these guys off a bridge in LVE or Jalen Smith. Him and Micah Parsons put pressure in that linebacking room, and I don't want to hear anyone say, "Well, I can't believe they double dipped at linebacker." Linebacker was a need for the Cowboys. People just don't want to admit that, but some people don't. But linebacker was a need. We saw how they struggled, and you can argue, well, Mike Nolan did such a terrible job, it kind of messed up our evaluation. Well, that could be true, but we've seen since LVE has been with the Cowboys, his best season was his rookie season. He has yet to match that type of production, and he's missed time due to injury. Jalen, while he hasn't missed time, which is a plus, he's just been a liability when it comes to coverage and asking what we want him to do. So I think that you get Jabriel Cox in here, and I got to give this pick an A, mainly due to value and what you're doing here. Then Josh Ball. Now, the Josh Ball selection it doesn't sit well with me, mainly with the fact that you have a situation in which you have a domestic violence situation in this entire mix. I look at the talent, and the talent is there. A very highly recruited guy that had the ability to possibly push himself into the top 100. But this thing where he was accused by his ex-girlfriend, throwing her to the floor, pushing her around, and shoving her. I don't really like dealing with this kind of crap, to be honest with you. And I really wish we kind of kept ourselves out of it. But at the same time, sure, he was not charged with any crimes. The thing that kind of bugged me, too, is when he said, quote, "The past is the past, and everyone's moved on, so I don't really have a comment on all that." Now, if these allegations are true, and again, I'm not trying to say they are or aren't, but if they are true, those are terrible things to say because, this isn't a joke. And it doesn't sit well with me. The pick itself, I'm going to give it a B minus, mainly. The talent is, if it would be an A if this whole situation was in there, but it completely dragged it down to a C plus B minus. I'm gonna go with a C plus just because it's like this. I hate to be like that, but it just bothers me, and I don't want to deal with this crap with the Cowboys once again. So I just want to provide some clarity on how I felt about the Josh Ball selection. Now, moving to the fifth round, Dallas has one selection. They took Simi Fehoko. I apologize if I pronounced him incorrectly. The wide receiver out of Stanford. Now, I didn't really see a whole lot from him, so I'm not going to act like I'm a full-on expert, just so you know. But based off of my research I've done over the past couple days, he gives me the physical... I don't want to say it's like a Michael Gallup-like, because that's not true, but he gives me the vibes of being a possession, type of guy. Like, not like a full-on Dez guy, but like giving me those types of vibes. I love the fact that he chose 81. I think that he fits well with that. And I think that he has a potential to develop, assuming Gallup leaves, which we don't know that to be certain, but he definitely can be he has the potential to be 4 or 3 guy, you know? And I think that based off of what I see from him and the footage and stuff like that, I think he can be a solid player. I'm going to give it a B. Solid B in terms of the player and also, you know, possibility of being a future starting wideout, maybe. But again, I doubt, because I'm not trying to be super high on these guys, just so you know. But value-wise, I'm going to give it a B. Then you get the 6, Quentin Bohana, the defensive tackle out of Kentucky. Dallas gets one of those big guys. If I got to take a look at his measurables, and he's a 6'4", 357 pounds. Dallas gets himself a big boy in Quentin Bohana. And this is a one tech. I think we're looking for one of those beefier guys that we can put in there and be a solid run stuffer. And I think that if he can pan out, he can be a solid player for Dallas. I'd give it value-wise. I mean, like, I can't really grade this properly, so I'm going to go with a C+ here, mainly due to the fact that not to discredit him. I think that he's solid, but like another thing is just like, it could be a situation in which, you know, I really don't know. And I'd rather go with a C+ because I don't want to be too high but not too low. Then we get to Israel Mukamu. Oh my God, I butchered his name. You can slander me in the comments all you want, but I honestly don't. Could someone please tell me how to pronounce his last name? The guy out of South Carolina, corner. Again, the measurables are there. I think that, again, it's the same thing like the Nashan Wright selection in the sense of measurables are there. It's a solid selection, but I don't know where the guy is going to... Now that you have 3 corners, it gets a bit interesting. Do I think he makes the team? Maybe. Maybe they move one of these guys to safety. Someone's going to have to move around. I'd give it a C+ as well. And then Matt Farrock out of Nebraska, the guard. I'm going to roll with the C+. I'm not going to, again, I can't. The reason why I give guys I don't know C+ is because it's an average selection. And it's a slightly above average selection in the sense of I can see why they made the pick, but it's still kind of, I don't know yet. But in terms of an overall grade for the Cowboys, I'd give it a B+, mainly due to the fact that, look, we were coming into this draft. We knew the Cowboys were going to go heavy on defense. We can't kid ourselves there. Another thing is just some value. The thing that weighs it down to a B+ as opposed to an A is the fact that questionable selections and value. I mean, like, and honestly, you could really think about it this way. If you swap some of these picks around, maybe we're grading this completely differently. But I still think that it's a wait and see. I can just say initially that, hey, Dallas got a nice haul of players that Dan Quinn wants and is definitely going to completely rearrange how we're doing things here. But it's still wait and see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you have, by all means, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. And alongside that, a huge shout out to my members, which will be on the screen now. Without you guys, it's not possible. If you want to join this list of members and shout outs in the video, make sure to hit the join button down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. And hopefully Dallas can really get itself together. I know they released some players, and we'll talk about that later, but, you know, we'll get to that. So I'll talk to you guys later, and you have a great rest of your day. All right, bye-bye.